The Marshmallow Test, Why Self-Control is the Engine of Success, presented by MTI, the Movement Towards Improvement. The book is centered around tests conducted with children to test their self-control. The basic premise was whether or not the children could withstand the urge for one marshmallow now or to get two later. Basically, did they have enough self-control for delayed gratification? The astonishing thing about these tests is that on average they predicted SAT scores, body mass index, and sense of self-worth relatively. So what can you do? The first step is understanding how self-control works inside the brain. There are two parts in the brain crucial for this. The first is the prefrontal cortex. It is the cognitive, reflective, slower, and effortful part of the brain. It is the cool part. The other is known as the amygdala, the emotional, reflexive, unconscious part of the brain. It is the hot part. Thus, self-control is a constant struggle between the cool part of the brain and the hot part. With this, they are both respectively good because sometimes you need to take that moment to think, and other times you need to make that split-second decision. Going on, self-control is based a lot on how you see the future and distance in time. Researchers using MRI scanners scanned participants' brains. They asked them to think about themselves, the current self circle. They then asked them to think about themselves in the future self circle. In essence, it allowed researchers to assess how much people associated their future selves with their current selves. Now, the amount that these circles overlap could predict the level of self-control people had. So what does this tell us? It confirms the common notion that now is hot and the future is cool. Now that we understand how distance affects self-control, we can understand how this affects the way we assess situations. Think about an argument you had. Now this causes you to feel all these hot emotions. However, a popular technique to see the situation more objectively is to see it from the point of a bug. This summons the cool part of the brain. So in order to cool your emotions and increase self-control, increase the distance in your brain. You want to cool the present and heat up the future in order to properly assess. One of the most important parts of self-control is willpower. The common notion is that willpower is a finite resource and that we only have so much per day. However, Carol Dweck, one of the most influential psychologists of our time and a current psychology professor at Stanford University, has a different theory. In her research, she found that the rate of depletion of willpower depended on the way people saw the tasks they did. If people saw the tasks as energizing, the rate of depletion would slow. Whereas when people saw the tasks they did as draining, the rate of depletion would increase. So the slower the rate of depletion, the more willpower you have to use at the end of the day. So change the way you think about the things you do. Now the big one, self-control. There are two theories on this subject, consistent and discriminant. Consistent refers to the belief that self-control is a broad spectrum trait, that it is consistent over all situations. The other is discriminant, which is the belief that self-control changes greatly based on the situation. The correct one has been proven time and time again, is discriminant. It's based off the notion that your self-control characteristics are like a landscape, the sum of all your experiences, goals, plans, and emotions. For example, here's a graph of a discriminant self-control. You have little self-control against eating cookies, but a lot in responding appropriately to criticism. So can we combat, change, and develop our self-control? And the resounding answer is found in the nature versus nurture debate and the field of brain plasticity. The nature versus nurture debate is one of the most overworked and overcomplicated debates. Basically, you have to think of your DNA as a library, each part of it as a book. Now you go into a library and you choose which books to read. You are acting as the external stimuli, the genes that get expressed, and are based on what you do. The next concept is brain plasticity, also known as neuroplasticity. It refers to a research-proven concept that your brain never stops changing in response to stimuli. So, you have the power to change and develop your self-control. The most common and effective way is known as the if-then method. So this is how it works. If a certain hot stimulus occurs, then you take a particular action. You associate the hot trigger with an action, and with work it becomes a habit, and your self-control rapidly develops. Yes, it sounds simple, but it is incredibly powerful. But self-control is not the goal, but rather choice is. Sometimes you need to live in the here and now. You shouldn't squander that once-in-a-lifetime chance for delayed gratification. You need to balance now and the rewards of the future. Self-control does not mean no fun, but rather it gives you the ability to have a choice between now or delaying instant gratification in order to get the most fun, whether that be now or in the future. So as Walter Mischel, the author of this amazing book, says, the biggest challenge for all of us, not just the child, may be to figure out when to wait for more marshmallows and when to ring the bell and enjoy them. For unless we learn to develop the ability to wait, we don't have that choice. This is MTI, the movement towards improvement. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. And find us on Facebook. See you next time, and check out this amazing book by Walter Mischel.